Who was Ragnar Lothbrok, you ask? Well, let's raise the curtain on the saga of this legendary Viking king. Our story begins, as many do, shrouded in the mists of time and the echoes of ancient sagas. Born into a world of seafaring warriors and legendary beasts, Ragnar Lothbrok's childhood is as much a mystery as the man himself. Some tales speak of a humble birth, a boy born to modest circumstances yet destined for greatness. Others suggest a lineage of power and prestige, a promising start for a future king. But who was the real Ragnar Lothbrok? The sagas, those epic poems of Norse tradition, are awash with tales of his mythical exploits. From slaying a giant serpent to woo his first wife to leading daring raids on distant shores, these stories paint a picture of a larger-than-life hero, a man who walked with the gods. Yet, within the annals of history, the figure of Ragnar Lothbrok is not so clear-cut. Scholars debate his very existence, with some suggesting that Ragnar may not have been a single individual, but a composite of several historical figures. Others argue that he was indeed real, a legendary warrior whose deeds were so extraordinary they crossed the boundary into myth. Despite these debates, one thing is certain: the name Ragnar Lothbrok echoes through the ages. Whether he was a man, a myth, or a mixture of both, his story has captivated audiences for centuries. His saga, woven into the rich tapestry of Norse mythology, continues to inspire and intrigue us today. And so, as our tale of Ragnar begins, we find a young man destined for greatness, his name already whispered among the Viking clans, a man, or perhaps a legend, poised on the brink of a remarkable journey, one that would lead him to become a king, a hero, and ultimately, a legend. But that, dear friends, is a story for another day. For now, we leave you with this tantalizing glimpse into the early life of Ragnar Lothbrok, the legendary Viking king. Ragnar's reputation as a fearsome warrior didn't just spring from nowhere. It was earned battle after battle, raid after raid. The tales of his exploits are as vast as the seas the Vikings sailed, woven into the very fabric of Norse folklore. Let's set the scene. Picture a young Ragnar, already a seasoned warrior leading his band of Vikings across the tumultuous North Sea. Their destination? England, their mission? To raid and conquer. His infamous raids were not just about pillaging. They were strategic, calculated endeavors that expanded the Vikings' influence far beyond their Scandinavian homeland. In the kingdom of Northumbria, Ragnar and his warriors stormed the city of York, toppling the once mighty King Aella and claiming the city for their own. This wasn't just a victory for Ragnar, but a triumph for all of Viking kind. It marked the beginning of the Viking Age, a time when Norse power held sway over vast territories. Ragnar's exploits weren't confined to England. He turned his gaze to the shores of France, leading daring assaults on cities like Paris. His strategic genius was evident in these conquests, using not just brute force but cunning and guile to outwit his enemies. The impact of Ragnar's conquests was profound. In the regions he conquered, Viking culture flourished, leaving a lasting imprint that can still be seen today. From architecture to language, the influence of the Vikings shaped the lands they touched. Ragnar's battles were more than just shows of might. They were a testament to his strategic prowess, his unyielding determination, and his leadership. He was not just a warrior but a warrior king, a leader who inspired loyalty in his men and fear in his enemies. From England to France, Ragnar's fame as a warrior king spread like wildfire, his name striking fear in the hearts of his enemies. And so the saga of Ragnar Lothbrok, the legendary Viking king, continues. Behind the warrior was a leader whose influence extended beyond the battlefield. In the midst of tumultuous Viking age, Ragnar Lothbrok emerged not only as a formidable warrior, but also as a charismatic leader. His leadership style was distinctive, marked by a blend of courage, cunning, and charisma. Ragnar was a man of the people, a king who led from the front. He was a master tactician, using innovative strategies to outwit his enemies. His exploits on the battlefield were legendary, but what truly set him apart was his ability to inspire loyalty and unity among his people. His influence was indeed profound. Ragnar was not just a conqueror but also a cultural icon. His reign saw a flourishing of Viking culture, with advancements in shipbuilding, exploration, and trade. He was a catalyst, propelling the Viking world into a new era of expansion and discovery. His legacy, however, extends far beyond his lifetime. The sagas tell us that Ragnar had many sons, each of whom went on to leave their own mark on the Viking world. They carried forward their father's indomitable spirit, continuing his quest for exploration and conquest. It is from their tales that we get a glimpse of Ragnar's enduring influence, But Ragnar's impact was not limited to his descendants. His story, as told through the sagas and legends, has transcended the boundaries of time and geography. Today, his name is synonymous with the Viking Age, a testament to his lasting influence. His tale continues to captivate the imagination, inspiring books, movies, and even a popular television series. Ragnar's life story embodies the quintessential Viking spirit, the lust for adventure, the thirst for conquest, and the relentless pursuit of glory. His exploits, real or embellished, provide a window into a fascinating period of history, offering insights into the Viking way of life. Ragnar's legacy didn't end with his death. His influence shaped the Viking world for generations to come. And so, the saga of Ragnar Lothbrok continues, a tale of a legendary Viking king whose spirit lives on, etched in the annals of Norse history and in the hearts of Viking enthusiasts around the world. So, who was the real Ragnar Lothbrok? Let's separate fact from fiction. Our understanding of Ragnar Lothbrok is deeply intertwined with the rich and vibrant sagas of the Vikings. These tales, passed down through generations, often blur the line between history and mythology. But what do we know about the historical Ragnar? Most scholars agree that Ragnar Lothbrok was likely a real person. However, the stories of his exploits have probably been amplified and embellished over time, merging with the deeds of other historical figures. This fusion of fact and folklore has made it challenging to decipher the true Ragnar from the mythological figure painted in the sagas. Historical texts such as the Saga of Ragnar Lothbrok and the Tale of Ragnar's Sons provide some clues, but they are wrapped in layers of lore. These texts depict Ragnar as a legendary Viking chieftain, a fearless warrior, and a cunning strategist. But they also attribute to him fantastical feats that border on the supernatural. The historical Ragnar, if he existed, was probably a Viking chieftain or king during the Viking Age, around the 9th century. He would have been a formidable warrior, leading his men in raids and battles across the seas. His reputation would have been built on his martial prowess, strategic acumen, and charismatic leadership, much like other Viking leaders of his time. Yet, the Ragnar we know from the sagas is a larger-than-life figure, performing heroic deeds and embarking on epic adventures. This characterization is likely the product of centuries of storytelling, where the boundary between man and myth becomes increasingly blurred. Despite the lack of concrete historical evidence, Ragnar Lothbrok remains a captivating figure in our collective imagination. His story, a blend of history and mythology, continues to inspire books, movies, and TV shows, adding to the enduring fascination with the Viking Age. The real Ragnar may remain a mystery, but the legend of Ragnar Lothbrok continues to captivate us to this day. As we sail back from our journey through the life of Ragnar Lothbrok, let's reflect on what we've uncovered. We began with the birth of a legend, a man of humble origins, whose name would echo through the annals of time. Ragnar Lothbrok, born into a world of warriors, quickly proved himself a force to be reckoned with. We followed his path as a warrior king, charting his exploits across the Viking world. His daring raids, his epic battles, and his relentless pursuit of power painted a vivid picture of a man who was both a fearless warrior and a strategic mastermind. His adventures took him to far-off lands where his name became synonymous with the very essence of Viking courage and ambition. We delved into his leadership, examining the charisma and influence that defined his reign. Ragnar wasn't just a warrior. He was a visionary leader who inspired loyalty and respect. His decisions, his strategies, and his actions shaped the Viking world in ways that continue to resonate today. We then peeled back the layers of myth to reveal the man behind the legend. We scrutinized the historical evidence, sifting through the sagas and the scholarly perspectives to uncover a more nuanced understanding of Ragnar Lothbrok. Who was he really? How did his story fit into the broader context of Viking history? These questions led us to a deeper appreciation of Ragnar, not just as a legendary figure, but as a man of his time. The saga of Ragnar Lothbrok, the legendary Viking king, may be over, but his spirit continues to live on in the pages of history and in the hearts of Viking enthusiasts everywhere. His story, filled with triumph, tragedy, and timeless lessons, reminds us of the enduring power of legends. As we close this chapter, remember that the saga of Ragnar Lothbrok is more than a tale of a Viking king. It's a testament to the enduring legacy of the Viking spirit. Skål!